Hey guys, John here from Nothing But Cardboard. Good questions about cracking slabs. We've done a few in the past, so I'm just going to go over some notes. If you're thinking about cracking slabs or ever thought about it, this will give you some information to think about before you do it and send those cards in. So I'm going to flip the camera around so you guys don't have to stare at me. So stay tuned, let's get into it. All right, guys. So, like I said, this is just some things for you to consider whenever you're thinking about cracking some slabs and sending them off to be graded with PSA. So there's a couple reasons that you would want to crack a slab. It's either to make money, you're going to crack it and send it to PSA because they're worth more money, or it's a PC card and you just want it in a different slab or a better slab, or you want, whatever it is for your PC. So one thing to consider is the strength of the grading companies. I would only recommend using the main grading companies, which is SGC, BGS, and CSG or CGC. Those are the ones that are the top graders, the most consistent that we know about. I would stay away from HGA. BCCG is like a sister company of Beckett. They used to be decent, and I've had success with those. But again, it's not really a coin flip. It's a little bit better with them than GMA, ISA. There's a whole bunch of different names that if you don't know who they are, then I would just suggest staying away from those. What we're looking at when I say strength of the grader, they're consistent and they're accurate. So usually a 10 is going to be a 10, 9.5 is going to be 9.5. They're consistent. It's not like a card that you can see, GMA, off-centered. I don't even know if the old days, this might have gotten a 10 with PSA, but now it wouldn't. You can see the right side sticker. So GMA, just a lot of their stuff is Gem Mint 10s. If you were ever to check their pop report, you would see that they, give out a lot of 10s. So a few things to think about that could happen to your card. The former grader could damage the card after it's graded and put in the case. We had this happen once with the T-Law card. They graded it, gave it a 10, and it went off to be encapsulated. And when they put it in the case to seal it, they damaged the card. And we got it back PSA 10, but the card was damaged and you could tell. So we couldn't sell it because it was very noticeable that there was damage on the card. So the former grading company could have damaged it. So one thing you want to do when you get the card, before you crack it, just look it over. Give it a good look over and check it. Make sure you don't see anything glaring before you crack it. Also, the next thing, you could damage it when you're cracking it. These slabs are tough. SGC is not bad. The Tuxedo is kind of easy to get into. Not a lot of issues. But BGS and CGC cards are really sealed, and it's some tough plastic. So you have to be careful that you could damage the card. So different grading standards from different companies. Some guys more on the front than the back, how they grade it. So I don't want to get too carried away into grading, but it's something that you need to think about. So certain companies have pre-grades or subgrades. So they give you the subgrades for the card, so you know exactly where the card graded and how. So you can kind of look at it and see that the card, why it got what it got. So if this one had a 9 on centering, you could kind of look at it and see, all right, well, is it back centering? Is it front centering? Centering, corners, edges, and surface. Each company has their rule. And again, this isn't written anywhere, so there's no way to know this. But usually the card will bump up half a grade. Some companies may be a whole grade, like GMA, they may let it go up a whole grade. So what do I mean by that? If you have 8.5 centering, edges 9.5, corners 9, surface 9.5, the highest this card can get is half a grade higher than the lowest grade. So since it was an 8.5 in centering, even if all of these were 10, this card's only going to get a 9. Again, different companies do it different ways, so you have to kind of evaluate the card and the company that you're doing. CSG, same thing. If you get 3 Gem Mint grades and 1 Gem grade, they're going to bump up to the Gem Mint grade, which in this case is half. So this is the old Gem Mint, or the old CSG, which is a green label. They graded harder. Back then, a 10 was considered like pristine. So again, that's why I'm saying you need to know the different grading companies and how they grade. These are all Gem Mint, even though they say 9.5. HGA is the same way, they have 9.5. SGC has a 9.5 and it's considered Mint Plus. So it's better than a 9, but it's not quite a 10. I mean, all the grades got 10s, and it's a perfect or real Gem Mint, or it got 10, 10, 10, 9, and it bumped up to a 10. They brought it up. So you need to be aware of how the companies grade before you crack the card to make sure that it's going to bump up to the grade. So those 4 different areas that they grade the card will affect the final grade on the card. So if you had a 10, a 9, a 9, and a 9, that's going to equal a 9. The card's going to get a 9. If the card had a 10, a 9, an 8.5, and a 9, like this one, then it's only going to get a 9. The easiest thing to kind of keep track of and to know, and it's a little blurb to that little thing that I just said with the grades and bumping up, the card that doesn't meet the criteria for centering is not going to get a Gem Mint. So if you sent this card to PSA now and it was 60-40, it's not going to get a Gem Mint. The best it can get is a 9. So then you're going to break down the other grades of the card, but it's still only going to be able to get a 9. It's not going to bump up. The centering has to be, what they say it should be. So centering, you just want to make sure it's 50-50, maybe 55-45. You just want to be as particular as you can on centering. And another thing about centering is it's hard to tell because this card has a border. So you can see the border and you can tell, you can kind of measure and tell that it's fat. These cards don't have borders. So you have a lot going on with the card. And you have to kind of tell thickness here compared to the thickness here. How far away is the rookie card logo and the prism patch? The name, is it too far over? Is there more room down here? Best thing you can do is just, if you're going to crack a card and send it off, look on eBay, put in the company that you're going to send it to, Gem Mint 10, PSA, and then look at a few of the front of those cards and see if the card that you're thinking about cracking meets that card, or if it looks like it would get a 10 also. Sometimes you can just check eBay and it will tell you what the grade's going to be. PSA's stepping their game up with grading. Like I said, they just kind of snuck in a change beginning of the year. A lot of people were upset about it. They're more 50-50 now for centering, but you can get away with more stuff on the back of the card than you can on the front of the card. I'm not saying that you're going to get a Gem Mint, but if there's an issue on the back that doesn't take away from the eye appeal of the card they talk about, you can still get a gem. So I don't want to get into grading too much. I think I just did. But it's something to be aware of when you go to crack the slab. Is it going to bump up to the grade that you want? Next thing is just the luck of the grader. They're humans. They make mistakes. They have good days. They have bad days. You may get somebody that's brand new. Maybe he's in a bad mood. So a fine line between a 9 and a 10. But that can also work in your favor. You can easily get a 10. The guy's in a bad mood and doesn't really feel like grading. He may miss some stuff that he normally would have got. So we beat up the graders sometimes and say that they're terrible. And sometimes they are based on our pre-grading. It should not have got harshly as it did, but they are human. So as far as making money, you want to get the best price for the slabs. So when you're buying slabs, you want to get a deal. You don't want to just pay 50, 60 bucks for a slab. You still want to try to get deals just like you were buying raw cards. 2 criteria that I go by is the cost of the card. So the cost of this slab, $25. It's going to cost me 20 bucks to get it graded, maybe 25. They're not doing sales specials now because they're behind. You got to include shipping there and shipping back in your price. So if it's 20 bucks, I would have $45 into this card, taxes, fees, everything. Am I going to make money on this card if it comes back as a PSA 10 for 45 bucks. The one thing to consider is try to buy cards that if they bump down a grade, are they going to get a 9? Will you be able to make money or at least break even? So that's a break even point. The second one is the risk factor. If you buy a card and it bumps or it gets the same grade that you think it's going to get in a PSA 10, it's going to sell for more than SGC 10. Is that risk factor going to be worth it if it comes back a 9 and you lose a little bit of money? So you just have to consider either get the best price you can, try to buy cards that'll grade a 9. If they drop down, you break even. Or is the risk worth buying a card that if it grades the same, you're going to make quite a bit of money? You don't have to hit a home run on every card. If you crack 10 slabs and 7 or 8 come back as a gem mint and PSA, you're going to make money. Probably better than that. I mean, if you did 50-50, you're probably doing good, but you want most of them to come back. I'm not saying this is a home run card. I just pulled this one out just to explain that to you. So you want to either consider cheap slab, best price, PSA 9 break even, or the risk factor for this card coming back and doing so well is worth it for me to send it off. As Cody would say, sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit. So as far as why you would buy slab cards and crack them, you're getting better conditioned cards for a little more money. You know what you're buying. You buy raw cards and they come in and you may find all kinds of issues on the card that you could not see. Especially now, people take pictures in penny sleeves and top loaders, and you got the light blinking off of it in the pictures and you can't tell, or weird angles. So you get the card and it's not what you thought it was. So at least when you're buying a slab, you know, okay, I'm going to get that slab. It's going to be a 10. And then I've got to deal with the card and, you know, the other criteria for doing the breaking. So you have a higher percentage to get gems, which means you should make more money. So for me, I don't know if it's just me. You guys comment down below. I have to buy 10 raw cards to find one card worth sending off to PSA to get it graded that I think is going to pull a 10. So if I buy these 10 raw cards, that's 60 to 80 bucks that I spent. If I buy a slab for 30 bucks and I put 25 into it, that's 55 bucks for grading. It's probably 85-90% chance that it's going to pull a 10 if I don't damage it and it wasn't damaged when I take it out. Grader's not having a horrible day, and it's probably going to grade the same as SGC and get a 10. So that card's going to end up making money. They're coming down in value. These were selling for 100 when they first came out. Now it's going to take 2 or 3 months to get these back. So I'm hoping by the time football season starts, there's some more hype, and they go back up and sell for, you know, 75, 80 bucks. So I'd make $25, $30 on this card. So what I'm saying is, instead of buying 10 raw cards, and I still do both, I try to, you know, buy raw cards to get sent off. It's less stressful, less aggravating, and you know what you're getting if you just buy the slabs and then crack them. So the last one I'll just pick on is this one. I bought this card and didn't even realize until I got it in that it wasn't even a BGS. This is a Mint Plus. It's like a company in Canada. But I mean, look how much that looks like BGS. And I went back and checked the listing, and they didn't have it listed as BGS. I just didn't pay attention and thought that it was a BGS slab. So now it's going to cross over to PSA. I've always wanted to get a Jordan Fanimation card and a PSA 10. These were worth like $1,000 at one time back in the day. So a few things for you guys to think about before you crack slabs, kind of to evaluate if it's worth it, if it's not worth it. So appreciate you watching. You guys have a great day.